If fear was not in our way, what would we be doing? If fear wasn't a factor, or the perception of not having what we need or not being able to do it, all of those things, if those weren't a factor, then what would we be doing? Crave your way to align success, the 5 essential steps for neurodivergent leaders. Friends, it's Diane here at Someone Gets Me, and today we're talking about being a leader while being neurodivergent, or leading a neurodivergent team, or any of these combinations. And there is a way to align ourselves with success. So that's today's episode. There's going to be 5 steps that I'm going to cover with you. And I started thinking about this episode when I started thinking about, what do I crave? Like, what's important to me? What's my yearning in my heart? What's this undeniable fire that just keeps coming and creating like a craving for good chocolate, or a craving for a nice, beautiful cup of coffee or great tea. So go and get yourself a drink, maybe get comfortable and listen to these 5 steps and think about how they might apply to you. Now, I'm going to use some stories and some examples from my own life and from life of other people that I know, whether it's been past clients or friends or whatever, because just so many people I know are neurodivergent. So it's easy to have all kinds of examples. So think about what you're craving. And we have something that we're going to talk about for each of these 5 steps about how we are going to crave our success and align ourselves. See, a lot of the things that we do as people is we want things and we want to grow and we want to have things. And I remember when I was a little girl, the kind of common phrase out in the world was, he who dies with the most toys wins. And it was all about getting. Well, then many years later, I went to seminary. And yes, I was in seminary. And in seminary, one of the things that we learned about, which I thought was very powerful and applies across the board, is the idea that in order to fulfill our higher purpose, we first have to release those things that are in our way. So it's a form of spiritual denial where we release the power, we release what's in the way of us being able to fully embody and live our purpose and our vision. And so in that, I feel this craving. And I learned in those days the power of releasing what's no longer serving me, what is either old news or never served me at all, or doesn't even apply to the goal. Because as a neurodivergent person, you can do lots of things. You might even be a multi-potentialite, meaning you have skills in lots of things, otherwise known as a Renaissance person. You know, I have a doctor that I know who plays amazing piano. He does acupuncture. He's an MD and he paints. Yeah. He's a multi-potentialite. And so he's also neurodivergent and he's also gifted. So there's all of these things working together for us to bring our vision out, but yet we keep craving to do that. So we have to be willing to stay focused on the matters at hand. So if I want to write my book, then I could go out and learn brain surgery. That's not going to help me get my book written. So there's lots of noble, great things we can do, but if they're not aligned with where it is we're going and what it is that we wish to have happen, then it's all for naught. We end up not getting to our goals. We end up frustrated. All kinds of things happen. So what we really want to do is say, okay, let's stay focused and let's go after things in a way that makes sense. Now, that does not mean we don't take side trips. That doesn't mean that we don't do other things along the way, because we do. We're neurodivergent. And gifted people tend to do that, go down rabbit holes and come back out and do the next thing, but we're still on our path. So we're going to talk about these 5 steps to being aligned for your success. The first step is cleaning your slate. I talk often about writing morning pages or doing something that allows you to clean the slate so you have a blank canvas every morning. Some people meditate or breathe or exercise. I tend to get up in the morning and have some beautiful lemon water with a little bit of sea salt in it, go for a nice walk with my dog, and breathe out a little bit more than I'm breathing in, and just let go of whatever tried to follow me through the night and start the day fresh and young and clean. So to do that, we want to clean ourselves of mind chatter and mind clutter if we can, or at least focus our thinking, and physical clutter all around us. I just recently had my house painted and I'm going through nesting and putting things in different places so that it flows better and works more for how I am today, because we're always evolving, so things are always changing. We also want to ask ourselves while we're cleaning our slate that if fear was not in our way, what would we be doing? If fear wasn't a factor, or the perception of not having what we need or not being able to do it, all of those things, if those weren't a factor, then what would we be doing? How would we be focusing and cleaning our slate to begin to live our vision? We want to release our beliefs that are holding us back, like I'm too old or I'm too young or I'm not good enough. Or, I remember people looking at me and going, women can't do this, women can't do that. And I'm like, really? That doesn't make sense. That sounds a very one-sided conversation. I've even heard it from other women. You can't do that. I'm like, really? Okay, well, I am. So, okay, right? So we want to pay attention to the fact that we have these messages in our head that came from other people, and also messages that people actually say to us. And we need to check on that and say, is that message true for me? Because people might say something to you that they think is true for them about you, but it may not be true for you. And that doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It's about awareness so that you can continue to clean the slate every morning, so that every day when you wake up, you're fresh and young and clean, going for the vision in an aligned manner. Now, step 2 is one of my favorite steps because I say this affirmation that I want to teach you all the time. And my affirmation is, I am raising my vibration. So the R of CRAVE is to raise your vibration. And I think it's really fun. And I walk around saying, I'm raising my vibration. I am raising my vibration. I am raising my vibration. And I find myself walking taller, walking with more confidence, having more competence in the way I do things, and reminding myself that if I let myself feel shame or grief or doubt, then my vibration lowers. It's like the difference between some beautiful melodic music and the thud of a bass. Now, we like the subwoofer and we like the bass because they help keep the tune, right? And the tempo. But the beautiful melody is what we're going after when we're going after our vision. And so we want to raise our vibration. So if you're feeling all, and all down and all defeated, it's time to raise your vibration. And you'll notice when you're feeling defeated, you're looking down often, like at your belly button. So what I always do for myself, and I might suggest this for you too, is when you go for a walk during the day, look a little bit above horizontal, right? Like a little bit up, not all the way to the sky, but a little bit above. Look up a little and walk and say, I'm raising my vibration. And allow yourself to breathe a little different, walk a little different, and allow yourself to feel your body moving through space differently than when you're feeling heavy or down or confused or grief or sad or whatever. Allow yourself to raise your vibration, because after all, we are vibration beings. Sound heals us. We feel the music. I imagine our bodies kind of laying on a very loosely woven kind of burlappy kind of energy grid, right? All our organs, we're just like that. And so we can affect how our physical being affects the world. We can affect how we affect the world around us by simply raising our vibration. So think about the last time you were with a group of people and someone came into the room that had a really strong feeling to them. You felt it before you even saw them probably. And you could tell if they were happy or they were sad or they were upset right away, like that. Well, that's your vibration picking up their vibration. So this isn't woo-woo, this is real. We feel each other before we see each other often. I know, being an empath and being intensely sensitive, I can feel what's going on in a situation before I mentally even come there. So today, even I had a client who, Immediately, the moment I saw him, I'm like, uh-oh, something, you're in pain. And he goes, how did you know that? I said, because I can feel it. What's happened? And apparently in his job, he was working from a ladder, and he was standing funny on the ladder, on the ridges of the ladder, and it bruised his heels. And so his walking was painful for him. So when he walked in, I was like, whoa, you're in pain. I could feel and sense his pain without him saying a word. That's raising our vibration, more and more awareness, paying more and more attention to how things interact. Another part of this that I think is really important is realizing that whatever we're saying and speaking, we're bringing to us. So, one of the things that really gets on my nerves is when people say cancer awareness. We'll use that for an example, right? Breast cancer awareness, pancreatic cancer awareness, whatever it is. Well, as long as I speak to cancer, I get more cancer. The law of the universe is whatever I speak to, I get more of. So if I'm doing something nice for you, I'm doing it with love and kindness, not because you need me. Now, there's a difference between if I say, I'm going to do this because, oh, you poor pitiful thing, you need this. Or if I'm saying, you're a worthy human being and you deserve this unconditional gift that I'm giving you of time or energy or food or whatever it is. It's a different consciousness. It's a different vibration. In the first example, I'm acting higher and bigger and better and pompous. And so I'm helping you, you poor thing. So we get more of that energy in the world. Or if I'm coming from a place of unconditional love and positive regard, then we're going to get more of that, not only for us, but for the other person. So it matters that we are health aware, not cancer aware. So when somebody says, I was working in a big day treatment center and they wanted to do a breast cancer awareness, and I taught them this, and I taught my group this, and I said, let's do breast health awareness. Let's talk about the health of our bodies and how to expand health rather than focusing only on sickness. So as we raise our vibration, we learn different ways to live our vision, to say the things that are important to us, because certainly research and health and healing are very important to me. And there's a way to speak about it that works in everyone's favor versus keeping us inside the box. Because if I'm inside the box or I say I'm outside the box is still the identifier. And I choose to use my vibration to have the identifier be a rectification of what's off, so of health and wellness. If you have any questions about that, hit me up on a get to know you call and I'll expand on it more. But it's very important to realize that what we're giving to, we're getting more of. Number 3 for the A is to attune to your vision. That means allow yourself to be aligned. Your mind, your heart, your soul, your gut, all of you headed in the same direction. So if your head says, I want ABC, but your heart says, but I want to do, XYZ, and your gut says, well, I want to do JFK, we're in trouble because nobody's lined up. We want everybody to be lined up. So our attunement matters. It really matters if you're the CEO, right? It really matters if you're trying to grow a business or something, that everything's lined up. I remember when I was little, I was always taught, treat everybody as if they're the CEO, right? Even the janitor, treat everybody the same. And no matter what your position is, dress and act into the position you want to have. And, I used to think, oh, that's fake, but it's really not, because it's practicing attuning to these things. So if we want to be successful, and as a neurodivergent person, we want to live our vision and live our goals and continue to keep making progress, then what we want to do is we want to vibrate to success. So if you're going to wear frumpy clothes, then don't expect to be treated like a CEO. Now, there are all kinds of other examples about all this, right? But one of the things I realize is if some days, if I wake up feeling kind of down or like heavy or maybe tired, then if I dress up a little more, then my energy rises, my vibration rises. I feel more alive simply by what dress I have on, or how I did my hair that day, or what shoes I wear, or always which watch I have on, because I love watches. And for me, watches are something that brings me great joy. So what do you do to stay focused? There is nothing wrong with playing and being kind of simple, might we say, right? You don't have to always be playing the game and thinking of these things, but it's called awareness. It's called paying attention to what we're going after, paying attention to, is my head, my heart, and my gut aligned? Are they going for the same goal? If your heart says, I want to write a book, but your head says, I want to do a movie, and your gut says, I want to go speak from a stage, those are three separate things. Now, you still might do all of them, but what's the order going to be? How are we going to prioritize and order these things so that we can clean the slate and raise our vibration and attune into successful completion and attainment of one goal after the other? While I'm writing my book, I don't sit there and have the book open on the screen or be writing in my journal, because sometimes I write it on paper a little bit and then I type it. I don't do that while I'm also doing something else. Singleness of purpose in that moment. Now, I might go do things at other times of day. I'll go quilt a little bit or knit or play with my dog. But the point is that we want to stay focused and aligned on the goals. That's what attunement to our vision is. What is it really? Now, if you say, I really want to write a book, and then your head says, well, you'll never be able to do that. You don't know how to do that. Now that's where the work is. That's where having a mentor or somebody who knows how to help you align your head with your heart and your gut comes in very handy. A lot of the people I work with, I have to help teach them how to get this attunement going on. I have to work with myself sometimes. It's something that all of us humans pay attention to and want to work on and make sure that we're monitoring so that we don't go too sideways, right? Now, the V is to visualize. And I learned a really valuable lesson about visualizing from Tony Robbins years ago. And it was before this was like back in the 80s. So it was before he was as well known as he is now. And I don't even really remember how I learned it from him, whether I believe it was in one of his books, or probably it was in a cassette tape, believe it or not, or a DVD or CD kind of course or something. I don't remember exactly where I learned it, but I remember his voice and him saying that you want to visualize yourself doing the thing, giving the speech or whatever. And then when you actually do it, it's the second time around because your brain rehearses it and it has already done it. And so I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So at the time I was working in a substance abuse inpatient center. I was just out of graduate school. So this would have been 1988. And I had to go do a big lecture. Now I'm introverted. And at the time I did not do a lot of public speaking. I do now. This wouldn't have freaked me out now, but it would have then. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know the topic. I can talk to the topic, but there's a lot of people going to be in that room. And I've never done this before. And I remembered what I learned from Tony Robbins. Run it through in your head once so that when you're doing it, really, it's the second time. So sure enough, I went in my office, I rehearsed it, as much as I could before I had to. And then I got my purple pen because I love purple, and it was a big whiteboard and I had a purple pen. That was my anchor. And I went and I walked in. And another thing he said was greet the people as you walk in. So I did. I greeted people. I said hello. And I delivered my talk as if it was the second time. People were in awe, including me. And years later, several of the people in that audience have come to me and said, you said hello to me personally, and it really made a difference. Now, in a naive way, I was just following directions that I learned from somebody much wiser than me at the time. But I wasn't clear on the impact on paying attention to the people in the audience and rehearsing things first and that kind of thing. So we want to visualize where we're headed. Now, I have like a little 3-part thing here. We want to see what we want in our mind's eye. We want to feel into it. And then we want to trust the universe. We want to trust that it can be. So if I want to go see a sunrise, then I'm going to feel the feelings I have experiencing that moment. And then I'm going to have trust in that moment. So we're going to see, we're going to feel, and we're going to trust in the process, the universe, and our own way of doing things. So that's really important when it comes to visualizing, to be able to see what we're doing and be able to have ourselves Feel into it. Again, that's the attunement of our head, our heart, and our gut. We want to make sure that that flow is really, really powerful. And the last thing is E, which is to exhibit your trust. The E is to exhibit the trust, which we just talked about a little bit. It's that deep seated belief that something greater is reliable and going to help us out and going to be part of our world. I remember I was watching a show and Barbara Streisand quoted someone else, and or maybe it was her quote, but I think she was quoting someone else. And one of the things she said that really stuck with me, she was speaking to young actors, and I think they were in some kind of group. And she said, at the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. Now, I don't know where she got the quote from because I've heard it in other variations. But the point is, when we see something, we visualize, we start craving it, we clean out all the gook in the way, and we allow ourselves to go after what we say is important to us. And we trust that that message in our heart that's trying to be expressed is our message and our message alone. That it wasn't a conference call and it's not a mistake. That somehow we will have what we need to attain a goal, to go after what we're doing. When I wrote my first book, I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know how to publish a book. I didn't know anything I was doing. I just knew I was supposed to write a book. So I started writing. And as I was writing, I had conversations with people and I learned things and it unfolded for me. But if I would have worried about that in the very beginning, the book would never have been written. Because often it's the lessons we learn along the way as we follow that craving that allow us to actually attain the goal. And sometimes we can attain our goals a little faster than we thought because we're trusting. Part of trust is having gratitude and giving thanks. Part of trusting is being grateful for the things that we desire, the things that maybe we don't really desire, but we can have gratitude in the face of it, like setbacks or things, because some setbacks are really setups, but we don't know it yet. And then we can have that beautiful gratitude and Thanksgiving feeling just in general. The fact that we're alive and we have a goal and we have the ability to follow and go after the goal. Because I have a belief, and that is that if the goal is in your heart, if it's in your inner heart and you can feel it, even if you're not sure what it is, even if you're not sure how you're going to do it, that is a unique, beautiful calling that's very special, sacred in a lot of ways. And so this CRAVE method can help you begin to go after your goal, because the first step is clear out all the junk in the way. And sometimes that takes effort. Sometimes it takes a really good mentor. Sometimes it takes a really good mastermind group or other kinds of ways to help you clear out the fear and the stuff, and I call it static, that gets in the way. So there's some key points. One is to focus on your vision. Now, you may not know exactly what it's going to look like. Like, I know my vision has to do with education and inspiration, and it changes how it looks over my career and over time, but it's the same feeling. It's the same energy. So focus on the vision. In your mind's eye, you have a vision. You know that there's many avenues to attain that vision. And so we might set out down one road and then we have an epiphany, or a person comes in our life, or we call in an experience, or we go to a conference, or we call a mentor, and pretty soon we're going down a different avenue, but we're still going after the same vision because there's more than one way to get there. I mean, I've listened to podcasts before, and as I'm driving and I'm going, oh my gosh, it's something totally different. I can see this other avenue that is actually way more fun and way more effective. And I still go after the vision. It's not a different vision. It's a different road to help me fulfill the vision. And then as a neurodivergent person, you want to use your intuition and your ability to recognize patterns, your idea synthesis, those kinds of things that are unique to you, because your neurodivergence is unique and it's a perfect identifier to help you coalesce and bring these things together. So as you clean the slate and you raise your vibration and visualize, you can then trust that where you're headed is aligned because you're attuned to start with. I know it kind of goes all together. To me, it's this beautiful flow that once I start releasing what does not serve me, Because there's no such thing as a vacuum in this world that's not man-made, then other ideas and inspiration and people and opportunities start to show up. The moment I'm willing to let go of the old version of me, the things that are in the way, and the fears that hold me back. To remember your neurodivergence is a gift. You're different by design. You are. And no matter what the combination is, whether it's giftedness or intense sensitivity or empath or what kind of neurodivergence or combination you have, you are perfect, whole, and complete, exactly the way you are. The differences you have are your identity markers. Those are your gifts that you bring. Those are the tools, those are the avenues that are going to allow that inner vision of yours that's craving to come out, to allow it to show up in the world. And you're here to bring it to the world, not to keep it a secret. And so I hope this has helped you. You can always contact me for a get to know you call. Please join my Facebook group, Someone Gets Me, of course. The new book, Care for the Neurodivergent Soul, should be out here in a few weeks. I think I can upload it to the printer tomorrow. So I'm very excited for that. And don't forget, we have a retreat coming that's going to be transformational in nature, with everything from sound healing and great conversations about AI and empathy and all kinds of neurodivergent topics coming together as a group for some powerful transformation and some time apart from all the overstimulation of the world. That's the beginning of October with, it's in Florida. So check out that link. That will also be in the show notes. And always remember this: I believe in you. You're beautiful, you're lovable, you're capable. And as part of the Someone Gets Me group, people, Sangha, family, whatever we want to call ourselves, I am here unconditionally for your highest good. If you have any questions or any comments or any topic you would like me to talk about or have an interview with somebody about, please let me know in the notes underneath this, or email me. Find a way to contact me. There's ways to do it all over in order to be able to let me know. Because hearing from you, I'm happy to do what I can to answer your questions and bring to you the things you desire. So thanks for listening to the Someone Gets Me podcast today. And remember, put your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you are a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. Remember to let CRAVE help you attain your vision as a powerful neurodivergent soul. Till the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.